Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my deep dive into a very beautiful and enticing and expansive deck called the Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And just in case you are new here, let me give you a brief overview of what I'm doing. Every day I pull one card from the Tarot of the Holy Light. And from my history of working with and studying primarily Golden Dawn-based decks, the RWS, the Smith-Waite, the Thoth deck, the Harris-Crowley deck, and all of their iterations and their copies and the evolution that they've gone through. I've got a lot of history with those. And this deck is very different. The Tarot of the Holy Light is not a Golden Dawn-based deck. It is created from extensive research and processing of information from the Continental Tarot Esoterica, which is very different from the Golden Dawn's creations and primarily before the Golden Dawn came into existence. And so I acknowledge those ideas, the memories, the feelings I have about that card from the Golden Dawn-based deck so that I can try to disengage them from what I'm seeing in the card in front of me. I want to acknowledge the thoughts and feelings I have so that I can try to, like I said, distinguish them. And then, to help me with that, I pulled 3 cards from an RWS-based deck called the Light Seers Tarot. It's a very common, very popular deck, very inclusive, very vibrant deck. And I pulled 3 cards. First card is the significance of the daily draw card for me. The second is the obstacle. The third is the advice. Significance, obstacle, advice. A typical 3-card spread. And then I live my day. And at the end of the day, I pull out my handy-dandy guidebook for the Tarot of the Holy Light, right there by Christine Payne-Towler. And I look at the entry for the card and see how that meaning, as intended by the creator, revealed itself for me during the day. And sometimes it reveals itself just like it says in the book. Sometimes fragments of it reveal themselves. Sometimes just one little element seems more obvious than the whole information. This book is cram-packed with information. It's easy to read. I'm not trying to scare you. It's easy to read, but it's cram-packed full of information, soup to nuts. And so that's what I do. And then I do a video like this. This is what I'm doing. So the card that I drew today was, and this is very different from a Golden Dawn-based deck. Well, at least different from a Golden Dawn, an RWS deck, a Smith-Waite deck. The Thoth is different, right? This is the 5 of Pentacles, the 5 of Discs, right? Very different from the RWS decks. Very different from Pamela Coleman-Smith's art. Do you recall Pamela Coleman-Smith's art? It's the one in the black of night outside of a church. There are 2 figures walking through the snow. Their clothes are ripped and torn. One of them's on crutches. Their heads are bandaged. They're scantily. They're not dressed properly for the cold winter night. And there are lights glowing on in the church, and those lights show us the stained glass window with 5 pentacles on it. This is very different from that. That card gives us the sense of being an outcast, being destitute, being lacking funds, lacking resources, very, very pitiful, very sorrowful. I don't get any of that from this. Do you? I don't. What do we see here? We see this wonderful cross of matter. I don't know if you can see. I'll try to get it closer to the camera, and it's probably not going to focus. I'll try to insert an image of this card right here. So did you see this card clearly? I hope so. I hope you had time to really focus on it. In this cross, we had up at the top, Ignis, the fire. The blue one is fire. The green one was water. The red one is air. And the bottom, it doesn't have a title, but I assume it's earth. It's right down there at the earth. Yeah, so we got the 4 elements here on a cross. And we have these vines, these lush, very vibrant vines growing up on the sides, looking very, very healthy, looking very abundant, productive growth. We have a full zodiac here at the top with this, looks like perhaps a sun at the center, perhaps with the moon below and a star above, a pentacle star at the bottom. It's just full. And at the bottom, did you notice the tools at the bottom? So there's work going on here. So what I got out of this card, looking at this card, was abundance. We got all of the elements here working together. We got the entire zodiac in fullness. At the bottom, we've got tools. So what I got here was working towards productivity, working towards abundance, working towards fullness, creation. And maybe the land looked a little bit dry, so maybe the work might not be so easy, but it's productive. I mean, look, those vines are growing like gangbusters. So those are the thoughts that I had. And so I pulled my 3 cards from the Light Seers Tarot. Let me show you those cards right now. These cards were a little bit challenging for me, especially at first. The Page of Wands, the 9 of Wands, and the 6 of Cups. So the significance of the work being a fresh passion, I could swing with that. I could get it. So yeah, we got the page, the very, very youthful, enthusiastic page, tossing her baton, her wand up in the air. There's all this energy around her. Her body's in an energetic pose. It's just an exuberant flight of power and creativity and passion. The obstacle, I thought about it briefly, and I could get an idea of what this obstacle could be. The 9 of Wands, yeah, I'm still standing. I've been through a lot of stuff, but I'm still standing. That can be an obstacle. Where's the obstacle in still being standing? It's that emotional baggage. Have you ever been in that position of, I've been through a lot of crap and I'm still standing? There's a way that there's an emotional baggage that we could be carrying along with that still standing stance, that could become an obstacle, could very easily be an obstacle. And then the advice is a card that I don't usually like to see in the advice place, because nostalgia to me is something that I don't really jive with. And this card is generally the nostalgia card. We see an older looking guy with a dog, and we see one of them, it could be the dog remembering or the guy remembering. The dog as a puppy, is it the same dog? Perhaps. That child is almost probably not the same guy, because a child that age, grown up to be a man that age, that dog would not still be around. At least from the way I see the guy sitting on the ground, that guy's way over 25 years old, way over 35 years old, perhaps even 50 or 65 years old. That can't be the same dog. If this is the same guy, that can't be the same dog. However, later on, in fact, mere moments before I started filming this, another thought came to me. Maybe this is the same dog. Maybe they're both thinking of this child who is no longer there. I mean, then this suddenly becomes this very sad looking card, right? This child, now that child could have gone away to college, sure. Child could have passed away, possible, but the child is no longer there. That's a very different kind of nostalgia from what I usually think of when I think of the 6 of Cups card. Remembering things that are gone. being the advice for today. It's interesting, very interesting, and I'm not sure how that actually played out. I did spend a little bit of time with the dog, and that helped me to relieve a little bit of building tension that was there. Sometimes tension builds, and one way for me to release it today was a little bit of canine interaction, which was nice, which was good. Yeah. So then, I lived my day, like I said, came back, read the book. Let me read to you. So, 5 of discs. The assignation here is Taurus, ruled by Saturn. Yeah, Saturn is the strict one, right? So, Taurus, the materially bountiful, enjoying the sensual pleasures, perhaps, of the material realm, being a little bit curtailed by the strictness of Saturn. So, there's a little bit of antagonism there, right? Well, so let me read the book. Here is the midpoint of the disc sequence. We have a poignant reminder that the cusp between the private life and the public life. Okay, let me get into the swing of reading here. The number 5 always references the human will in expression. And here we see an esoteric diagram of this very dynamic at work, grounded in the cross of matter. I showed that to you, the cross of matter, yeah? Fire, water, air, earth, at the points of a cross, the cross of matter. The individual takes his or her essential temperament from the 4 elements. Meanwhile, the imagination opens the soul to an infinite number of alternate worlds, symbolized by the solar system, surrounded by the zodiac. Lunar intuition pulses through the field of consciousness, waxing and waning with the cycles of the moon. The entire composite conjures the symbol of Hermes, archetype of the human gift of walking in 2 worlds, visible and invisible, material and astral. Now that could have perhaps somewhat played out for me in a very mundane kind of way, astral in a mundane kind of way. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. Here, we might never tell a soul what we are thinking, but once spirit knows, the whole world adjusts to it. So there's this idea that all this imagination, and there's Mercury is the communicative one, right? Hermes is the messenger. But it doesn't necessarily. Having that communicated out into the world with real people is wonderful. But this card also reminds us that it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that. That if there isn't the opportunity to communicate the desires, the fancies, the imaginative ideas that we've got, the thing that we've decided we want to move towards, if we don't get the opportunity to actually communicate that in words to a physical person, Spirit's going to hear. And there are going to be consequences, for good or ill, one would imagine, right? It is for this reason that the 5 of discs has become the card of infatuation. So there's stuff in between, but the 5 of discs has become the card of infatuation, desire, seduction, and their attendant gratifications expressed in classical tradition as flattery and flirtation. That's an interesting thing for today. Also, since the sun here is discs, since the suit here is discs, the attention is likely to be related to business as to pleasure. Now, so the attention, the flirtation could also be business flirtation, right? Try to remember the spell of glamour. Try to remove the spell of glamour from your thinking. So, and there's this glamour idea here. The glamour of flirtation, the glamour of what? Seduction, desire, infatuation, all of those glamours, right, are part of this card. And that could be sexual, that kind of flirtation, or it could be a business flirtation. And especially if it's a business flirtation, but perhaps also for the other kind, a suggestion is to remove the glamour from your eyes so you see what's actually there. Yeah, or not. It might be more dangerous in the business sense, but sometimes having a day of play that way can be fun and invigorating and uplifting in a sense, as long as we don't try to make it more real than it necessarily is. And that's part of that. Remembering that, yeah, there could be flirtation, there could be that desire, but that's all it might be. It doesn't necessarily mean so the next step is marriage, right? The next step is, okay, now we're in a long-term relationship. That's not what this is saying. This is that flirtation. It's the playfulness of desire, which makes this card seem much more understandable, right? Now the beginning, this could be a flirtatious kind of card. Now, it's not the Knight of Cups where that poetic flirtation. No, this is the sexual flirtation. The hey, I see you, do you see me kind of flirtation. That fiery, the sparks flying. Yeah, that is wands, fire, sparks. But youthful sparks. Not mature, experienced sparks, but those flirtatious sparks. And so this could definitely stand in the way. The experienced one, I've been through all the ringer of relationships one could stand in the way of that. So let me tell you my day. Because I think this did reveal itself again in a very mundane way. But also the other part of the astral and physical. So what happened? What happened to me? Nothing happened to me. What did I do today? I started off by cooking pancakes for breakfast, which was, they came out pretty well. I was pretty happy. I started cooking them last night. I have a special recipe for pancakes that I consider to be very healthy. You may have a very different opinion of them, but anyways, I cooked my pancakes this morning and watched a little bit of movie. I watched a movie, and then I dove into some reading. I read more of a book by a translation of a book by Eliphas Levi. I'm sorry, the accent is on the E. Levi. And then I meditated a little bit. I rested a little bit. I meditated a little bit. And then after dinner and after cleaning up after dinner, and I did my caprese my torta caprese for tomorrow. I cooked that tonight, and it was all very successful. In the middle of that, I tossed out a couple of little flirtatious lines to a person that I've gotten interested in, and they're a little bit interested in me, but probably there's nothing going to come of it. But yeah, I did a little bit of that flirtatious exchange before I read this. Because I was all thinking that today was supposed to be about work of some sort, because that's the way I generally think of the discs. I think of it as work, and maybe fruitful work for today. And so I was thinking of maybe my cooking is what that was. But then that balance, right? I did the cooking, I did the physical stuff, and I also did some of the other stuff. I did my reading, my studies of some of the background information for this deck. And I also did some research of another book that I've been trying to find, another translation of a book by, or letters by, Eliphas Levi. And I got some very good help from the brilliant Christine Payne-Towler again today. I'm just blessed by so much of that. So that could have been that dichotomy there, right? There was that one instance of enjoyable flirtation, and there might have also been another. I'm not really sure that it could be called flirtation, because I'm not exactly sure that there was a response. But anyways, there were a couple of things that were on the flirtatious side today, and I'm not putting too much weight on them. I didn't put too much weight on them before I read this, and so that was my day. I'm not sure how much you're getting out of this. Today was just one of those normal days. I didn't have any huge spiritual insights. My life didn't change. I cooked a little bit, I played a little bit flirtatiously, and I read a little bit, and that was a wonderful day. So there you go. That was my 5 of Pentacles, my 5 of Discs day. So friends, If you're laughing like me, hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows that you are laughing and other people might laugh along with you. Hit the subscription, button, and hit the alarm bell so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. I do about one a day now, and after about 2 weeks, I'm going to go back to my schedule of twice a week, probably, in a different way, when this series is over. And comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you have more insight than I was able to pull out of this for me today? Let me know. And if you're interested in private reading, there is my email address below. Send me an email and we'll work it out. So friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.